In the 20s and 30s, there was for a area where the Black community could build homes and churches and businesses, and the Booker T. Washington subdivision was platted, which was on the northern edge of the city of Vero Beach, but adjacent to the main relief canal, which had a spillway.
My name's Anthony Brown. I'm currently the president of the Indian River County branch at NAACP. I graduated from Vero Beach High School. A lot of people don't understand why it's called Spillway, but in Black communities, communities of color, we often make things our own. Booker T. Washington was given to us, but because of the canal that's north of us, the relief canal, it had a spill because you going from fresh water to salt water going into the river, so we call it a spill. The water was spilling over. Over the many, many decades, the original name of that little piece of property was lost. Black history, lost, stolen, or forgotten. And what Ruth is doing now is allowing our children to have a better understanding of who they are. Well, I think one of the reasons that the Booker T. Washington subdivision was placed there would be so that the white community would have workers. Domestic workers, nannies, and also workers in their yards. But it worked out well for the Black community because they had their own homes, their own churches, their own businesses.
I would say Spillway was a little community inside of Vero Beach that was predominantly a Black family community. There was about 25 or 30 families that lived in Spillway. We had access to come to Vero. We could walk across the spill, which was there, or we could come around by the hospital and walk downtown Vero Beach from Spillway. We had very close access to the city of Vero Beach, and our neighbors were a few, maybe 200 or 300 yards behind us, but they were all in the community of Vero Beach, which all was a white community. And in the Spillway community, it was just all Black families. And little stores and little people had their businesses there. My aunt, who raised me, she had a beauty shop there. Her and her husband, he was a barber, she was a beautician. So they shared a shop there together.
There really wasn't that much to do other than go to church or go to the bar. And a lot of people didn't take to going to the bar so frequently. They stayed to themselves and went to church. They had what they call singing choirs, and choirs in the church, singing. It used to be a good time in church at the time, as well as the bar. The Greenleaf Bar was what we called at the time popping. It was real nice.
They were very self-sufficient. Education was a major part of their home life. And so they worked very diligently to have their children go off to school, and many of our teachers came back and they had lived in the Spillway community.
Education was very important to my family. The goal was to go to college. That was the goal, period. My mother told me once, she said, Jean, she called me Jean. She said, I don't want you to do what I'm doing. So you have to go.
I went to high school, to elementary school and high school, with an all-Black high school. And my year was the last year that Gifford High School was all Black. Then the integration came in, and everybody was going to mixed schools at that time. But that wasn't my experience. I never went to a mixed school. The only school there at the time was Gifford High School. And we attended Gifford High School from 1st to 12th grade. And that was people from Spillway, Gifford, Wabassa, Felsma. Everybody came to Gifford High School.
Today, the community there, the Booker T. Washington subdivision, is the home of the County Commission administrative buildings.
So most people are familiar with this location as the seat of county government, right? But not a lot of people know the history of the Spillway community many years ago, and that unique African American community that was here, that was a special place in our county, and it's good to have the ability for people to know that history and remember that history.
We're here in Spillway, which is now the county administration building. It's the complex, but as a little boy, it was Spillway to me.
So Spillway was all I knew growing up. All I knew. All my friends was there. Part of my family was there.
Back in that time era, the black community was close. You didn't have anything, I didn't have anything, so we didn't have this ego or I'm better than you. We played in the streets, we shot marbles, we played jackstone, tic-tac-toe, jump rope. It was a family environment where it was so condensed that everybody knew everybody's business.
I did meet a lot of wonderful people in Spillway and Gifford. They were some of the friendliest people and the best people that I've actually known. They would have coffee waiting for me because I'd be there before daylight. I have very good friends from Gifford and Spillway.
It was a very progressive community because they could own their own homes and their own businesses, and they were close to schools in the Gifford area for the blacks, and later, to the Vero Beach High School when integration came in. So they were very progressive in the way that they handled their businesses and all. And also, later as the county grew, it was obvious that the seat of government in Vero Beach needed to be larger. The county commission offices, the supervisor of elections, the tax collectors, the property appraisers, and what better place was just in that one little area.
So for many years, we were considering the need for a new county administration building. It went through several iterations. We were thinking of, there were things considered like locating it at the old Vero Mall, locating a new building in the central part of the county. And at the end of the day, we had some property just across the street over here in Spillway, and the decision was made that we wanted to move over and build the new county administration building on this site.
And as the residents in the little community of Spillway moved or was deceased, the county would buy their property. And the community, the Spillway community, knew that. And so they knew they always had a ready buyer for their land. And so over this 15 or 20 years, the county acquired this property one piece at a time. In the early 2000s, the county began their plans for a complex there that would accommodate the growth of the community.
Maybe an acre of a circle, but there was houses built completely around that. And that's where they would have their church services or funerals or anything like that. And I've attended those because the people that I knew, for 7 or 8 years, I delivered ice to them. So if there was a funeral, I would attend. Or if there was a festival, I would go and meet them. So actually, to me, it was just another way of life,
Well, an exciting time in Spillway and for African Americans in Indian River County was Jackie Robinson.
I wasn't a baseball fan, but my grandfather was. So he would take me out to the Dodger Town to watch the Dodgers play. Even as a kid, I didn't like the heat too much. It was always so hot out there, but I would stay there and watch him because he was so excited to be among the black players that was coming to Dodger Town. Any black professional player back in the day brought a lot of highlight to our black community because it wasn't a lot of them. So Jackie Robinson and a lot of the rest of them that played and came to Dodger Town, they was the talk of the town. Everybody loved the Dodgers. So whether they liked the baseball or not, they was crazy about the Dodgers.
Jackie Robinson meant a lot there to all black people.
The Spillway is of historical significance for many reasons, but one of the things that the citizens and residents of Spillway should be proud of is that now it is the seat of local government.
So, we had to acquire several different pieces of property from people that had lived here for many years, and when we were going through that process, we wanted to make sure that we were doing that in a respectful manner. And working with people to make sure that as time came and as folks were ready to make that transaction, make a move, if you will, we were working with them in a collaborative manner to make sure that we were acquiring the property, being respectful of the history and of the people that live here.
Frederick Douglass W.E. Du Bois says that a man that does not know his past cannot have a future. And our children don't know. They don't know what they don't know that they don't know. So this will allow them to get a peep that, wait a minute, there was a town before us, there was a life before us, there was a people of color doing things before us, there was entrepreneurs that was already, they had nothing, but they made something. What we're doing and what Ruth has been doing, keeping the history alive so that generations to come can understand we're not the Genesis. We just a continuation of a journey. And within that journey, we need to know from whence we come in order to calculate where we go.